Hello. It's Sunday night here. There too, I guess. Anyway, I told God I was going to come in here and say a few words, and I'm going to. Lord, please give me the words to speak here, and let me show you in grace and mercy for all of us that you know that we are your children, and we love you, and we know you love us. So I pray that in Jesus' name, amen. I'm not much at praying, I'm not much at speaking, really. But this has been, this is like important to me to be connected to God, and I am. I'm connected to Him more than most people. I think more than anybody really on earth right now. How I got that honor, I don't even know. But I got it, and I don't want to give it up. Now, has it been an easy road? No, it hasn't. It's actually been more difficult, and a lot of people couldn't have done it, and I know that. Excuse me a minute. My root beer. Okay. Anyhow, like I said, most people couldn't have done it, and there were times. Actually, there were a couple of times I nearly quit, because more than anything I got was war and being embattled by people I thought cared about me, and family members, people I thought were my friends, and the only one who stood by me. I mean, really, this is true. The only people who stood by are a lot of you, and God, Jesus, God. They've stood behind me 100%, and I never had to fight the battle. I just had to stand and hold my ground, Of course, God does the battle, and He gets the glory. But I'm supposed to be saying something to y'all, and here's the deal. Most of us are pretty good people, and we live under grace. There are a lot of people who don't. I've watched many people fall on this road. They fell from grace. Now, can they get back on grace? Get back to grace? Well, they probably got some work to do. But I hope that they do it. Even the people that were my enemies and my ops. I feel bad. I feel bad that they went there. And it's not my fault. And there were times I probably could have handled it better. I'll say that. But I held my ground as far as God was concerned. I wouldn't give that up. I mean, they did. They sold out God, and He sold out me. Ain't no way I'm doing that. Ain't no way. Listen, God loves you. Maintain that love, because He don't play, and He's loyal, and He even called me friend one time. So and I know that even if He's mad at me, or I don't think He's mad. I shouldn't say that. Even if He's not, He's like, I've done something that's not right, because I'm not perfect. On this planet, I am as human as y'all, and I screw up. But when it comes to God, well, since I've been on this, I think I haven't done too many sins, you know. I try my best every day to do a little better, you know. I don't compete with anybody. I compete with myself. And I've got lots of people who try to compete with me, but I don't indulge. You know that. But a lot of people, even on TikTok or YouTube, will say, you know, that kind of push me to get busy on making a video or something like that, you know, speaking to y'all. Well, now listen, I want you to know that I'm with you 110%. I am. I started this deal. But you have to understand what happened to me. I mean, for those of you who understand that many of us chosen ones, we've been here before. We've come and gone and come back to the earth. Now, a lot of people don't believe in that, and that's okay. I'm not gonna argue the point. I know where my soul went. You know, what's got Akashic records for? They tell you things about where your actual soul has been. And God told me a lot. But there was a life before this one where when I spoke up about, I was trying to carry this message, I guess, and I got shot and killed for it, you know. So, and the people whose, I guess, family members, some actually were still alive when I was born, but they're not now, you know. But there were family members who understood who I was back then. I think I was kind of like a slave, you know. And this person actually went to God, asked for their slave to be given back. Of course, I'm a different person, you know, and you know, I'm not anybody's slave. If I'm to be able to be a slave for anybody, I'd be a slave for God. I won't be a slave to any human being. Anyway, so, and that's why sometimes getting up in front of a crowd of people or whatever, it's kind of, you know, I don't know, I guess my mind, in my subconscious somewhere, remembers that, you know. So I'm not real good at getting out there, but I'm doing better, and I'll do better. And this story, this message is gonna get out, and I won't let God down. I'm sure I've disappointed him at times, but I won't let him down, you know, because so many of you are even his children, you know. I mean, you're of the elect, and what you need to know is that God, you know, is here with us. I mean, he is inside of me. One time he came to me, he says, I'm going to put part of myself in you. And they had to do something to my soul and all this for that to happen. Am I that good? I'm not good as God. That's right, but, you know, but I'm never alone, you know. And, you know, he's given me gifts that, and triple and quadruple, you know, and so, you know, I've ascended to places, you know, but I don't think I'm done yet. I think, you know, spoke of me before I was even thought about, you know, but now you have to understand, I'm an old soul. I was here when before mankind even started, here helping the earth, you know. How do I do that? Well, I'm a healer, I'm a teacher, things like that, you know. There's a lot of things I know that are just slowly coming back to me. Because, you know, when you leave this earth and then you come back, they wipe all that, you know. And for a good reason, you know, because little kids start talking about what you've done, and people start freaking out. But anyway, so, but God's trying to pull something off here. He is. and it's His, it's His will, and we are His creation. We are His children, whether you like it or not. You should like it, because if He calls you a child and then you get scolded or something from doing something wrong, God's letting you know about it. You should be joyful about that, because God does not, He doesn't scold those that aren't His, because He knows they're not with Him. But for us that are, yeah, He gives us blues, But but He's faithful to forgive us, and once He forgives us, hey, listen, that sin, whatever you did, is not remembered ever again. I don't care what someone else tells you, because you did this and you did that before. God doesn't do that. Once He forgives you of it, it's over. He doesn't remember it. I mean, it's gone. I mean, He doesn't come back and say, like in the legal system, and say, well, those things are going to stay on, going to do you harm for 10 years if you're convicted again. Okay? That's kind of the way it works here in Oklahoma, anyway. So, He doesn't do that. I mean, listen, going to church, really going to church, and I'm not telling you not to go to church. If you want to go to church, you go to church. I don't go to church. I worship God. I worship Jesus, and I pay honor to a lot of different, ancestors and stuff. Well, some people tell you that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. But I'm telling you that it does, because I know some of my ancestors are my biggest protectors in this, and they ain't playing when it comes to me. So know this: you guides. You have guides. Guides that trying to direct you to go which way they need for you to go. Because listen, whoever you are, or wherever you're at, you are still representing the ancestors that went before you. Know that. So the things that you do, they affect them. Whenever I was the curse breaker of my lineage, and I didn't know how I was going to do that. God showed me what I was supposed to do. I didn't know anything about that kind of stuff. I didn't remember it. But I thought, why me? What I mean? What would you say? What do you say to that? He said, because you're the black sheep. Okay, that's true. I really was. I always known that. I can get the same deal as everybody else. But listen, I ain't no victim. It doesn't. But that's followed me over in my adult life too, with these people, that grew up with me, and it's kind of disappointing. In fact, I've cried a lot of tears over it, because when people start doing you wrong like that, and you never see it coming. You never do. It's just total betrayal. But I mean, we've all suffered some of that somewhere, because you don't go through this life and don't learn those lessons. And that's basically what it is. But while most people are getting good shit, and all this, and blessings and all this, the chosen one doesn't do that. Because he has, they have a calling on their lives, and so they're getting a lot of lessons to have to learn, and because they're going to have to represent their lineage. They're going to have to do work for God, and they know that. See, they came into this life knowing that, so we knew it was going to be easy. But mine, even they got a bed compared to mine. But listen, it's getting good now, because I got the last test beat, and they test the hell out of you. And and you don't know you're being tested all the time. It doesn't come back later and say, "Hey, I want to tell you, you passed that last test." I have no idea which one it was, But if I passed it, then I learned the lesson, and I don't have to do it again. I had a counterpart, but well, I guess she wasn't as strong as I was. So, and it came to a point where that ship had sailed, And I said, no, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go ahead and live my life and be happy and not have to tolerate what I having to deal with all that was done, which a lot of you will understand, some of you won't, but it's hard to forget the things you've seen or the knowledge that you have about people that they've done, betrayals. And I think I don't have that much time left. I'm older than most people, I may not look that old, but I'm older than you think. And so I'm not going to waste what life I've got left dealing with that. You know what I mean? I'd like to be happy, have somebody love and be happy. And that's part of the deal. And it's just about almost there, because, hey, that's what we're here for, And listen, when you're on this planet, I always call it the planet of sin, because I really don't think there's a whole lot of planets out there with people or whatever they are on it. I wasn't born on this planet, but I came here and I've lived all my life here, but I was watching this deal and they're saying, listen, day's going to come where you're going to come on back home. And I don't even know that's where home is, but I know that I was riding during Atlantis, so I know a little bit about that, but that's how far back I went, and who knew? I always knew I was an old soul. I just knew it instinctively, but God shed some light on it, about where I came from. I was part of a ancient Egyptian royal line, and that's one of the reasons too also that I'm chosen, because to be divine is, something made you be that, because God doesn't look at you, the body that you're doing it for this life, basically. Pretty much he's dealing with the soul that you started out here with, because he knows who you are, and that's all of you. All of you. If you've been here one life, or if you've been here 10 lives, God knows that soul, believe it. Or if you're of the dark, well then, he probably started with you there, but you dropped off, My counterpart, the first counterpart, is actually an angel like me. But, and I didn't know this, because we liked each other a lot. But she shined me on, man. I got ditched, but we never got off the ground. I mean, you know what I mean? Because she had a husband, right? I knew when I first talked to her, I know you. I don't know where I know you from, but I know you from somewhere. And this is before I'm awake, okay? But I knew this person was somebody I knew before I was here, before that. And so when he came to me and I said, yeah, God, I'm all in that. I belong to you, so hey, yeah, I'll walk your path with you. And but she didn't do that. She said, and I was trying to take him back by it. Because I called her the next day. I said, did God come and talk to you? She said, yes, he did. What'd you say? She said, I told him I don't want to do that. I like me just fine. Oh, wow. But here's the thing. She went from a person who I really respected, you know what I mean? And that's saying a lot for me, because I'm not the kind of guy that is I'm not dark, you know what I mean? And I don't like to, I have the right. God put it in me to have the right to go into the dark, but it's to go in and pull His children out of the dark, okay? And as many people as I can get out of there, I'm going to get them out of there. And believe me, there's a battle that goes with that. But, you know, it's not God's wish that anybody, any soul out there, should be lost. God knows who you are. He counts the hairs on your head, and when you cry, He counts the tears. Okay? So, you know, you're pretty special to Him. And if you fall into the darkness, well, if we can pull you out of there, we're going to. If we can get you out of there and get you back in line, then we're going to. But you're only going to get so many tries at that, and then God's going to say, all right, forget that. It didn't work. Okay? And there have been times when I said, well, God, because I care about the people I care about, you know. Well, God, will you just give me just a few days to see if I can pull this one more chance, so I know that it can't be done. And God He granted it. He said, okay, I don't have, but since you need to know that, well then, go ahead. But at some point He said, okay, it didn't work. Okay, so step away from that. It's not your deal anymore. You know. So, you know, so understand that when these people do these things, and there is not an earth angel out there who's going to wish bad upon them, because it's not our deal to do that. We get angry. Don't get me wrong. We have emotions just like you do. You know, when you betray us and you do nasty little mean things to us, it pisses us off. But we do our best to let it go, forgive it, and let it go, because we have bigger and better things we need to do here. We're in linear time here. You know what I mean? So, and why am I telling you this? So that you understand what this 144,000 are up against, because, and you know, there are different things that they're called to do. You know, but by now they should be all woke up. And if they're not, then you know, the angels will start knocking her. Hey, wake up! You know, God woke me up. I mean, well, no, I say that, but this counterpart that was supposed to be my counterpart, actually, something about her says she's spiritual, and I just know it, and somehow it was a catalyst to wake me up. Okay, now I came here to woke up, but I only went so far with it, because you know, you don't really, and you know, when you're a kid or when you're young, you don't really know anything about that. You know what I mean? And let me tell you something else too. I was just listening to somebody talking about, you know, going to church. Okay, most Christians we don't go to church. No, we work for God every day, and we talk to God every day. You know, it may not be a spoken prayer, but our subconscious, our what's called the pineal gland, it converses with God all day long. You know, and that's what that thing is in your head. That's what it's for. Because whenever Jesus died on the cross, and that big old curtain got ripped in half and opened to the Holy of Holies. Because remember, Jesus said, He says, if you tear down this temple, I will rebuild it in 3 days. That's what He meant. Because He put that temple right here. That's the temple. And you can go in there, go to wherever you pray. Go there and you can talk to God, talk to Jesus, And if you do something wrong, don't be scared. Don't let that get between you and God. Because I did that before. Because the way I was treated in church was like, if I was doing something wrong, and the whole neighborhood knew it, and they wanted to shame me in front of everybody at church. And I said, look, don't do that. Or I'll never come back here. And people have gotten weird about stuff like that. And listen, go to God if you've done something that you know that's not you. And say, hey, God, man, I'm really sorry, but listen, I did this thing, and I feel bad about it, and will you forgive me? And bet you 9 times out of 10, God's gonna say, you're forgiven. And go, do your thing and sin no more, whatever He tells you. But He knows we're going to sin again because we are human and we're fallible. That's just the way it is. We aren't perfect, but do the best you can every single day. God's not going to hate you. God doesn't have any hate in Him. He's not going to be mad at you sitting there at me and, being mad at you. He doesn't do that. Now, when you do things like some of these people and attacking their chosen ones, this is somebody who was actually chosen by God. I didn't choose me. He chose me. And He said, this is my star right here, and this is my masterpiece. And by the time I'm done with him, He's going to be that. Okay? I came into this as y'all wouldn't have liked me. I wasn't a mean guy or anything like that, but I was a mess. Really, I was a mess. And I'm glad that God did come and get me, because maybe the people that I was raised with, I was already 2 strikes down before I said it. But a lot of listen. In my life, I had to suffer through a lot of betrayals, a lot of injustices, by these people that are my ops now. And there's certain ones that are worse than others. And I've learned a lot about all that I went through with them. And I'm like, so when I was, when I'm asked, well, are you going to come back? No, I'm not. Why would I? I'm not that guy anymore. I'm not the guy who gives too much and doesn't get anything back. Now listen, when I work for God, I don't get paid for that. Somebody prayed for me. This girl prayed for me. Prayed for somebody like me. Okay? Now, it's sad, but were they being totally right or honest? I don't think so. But when God sends you, He says, okay, you're going to be a gift to somebody who has prayed very hard, and they need you. All right. Well, she might have, not altogether, but that doesn't matter. And I remember this other person that was my counterpart on this deal was supposed to be, but didn't become it. And she thought, what are you doing? What are you with her? And I said, whoa, look at her. She may not be the prettiest girl in the world, but that wasn't what I was looking at. I was looking at the heart that can be good. And was she her best? No, but she had me fooled. Well, anyhow, as it went by, I don't know. God told me this after the fact that you were the gift, and she fumbled the gift pretty harsh, pretty hard. Uh, and I then learned about some of the things that she was doing. Uh, when we are walking God's deal, I mean, He gives us discernment and stuff like that. But see, I had to get there. I didn't have all that going on yet. So I could be easily fooled, you know what I mean? But not anymore. I mean, I'm not, I'm a lot wiser than I was. That's the first thing God gave me was wisdom, And I'm amazed because some of those decisions I wouldn't have made that way had He not, So, and I'm not completely wise, I'm not, but I'm learning. I've got more wisdom than I had. I know that I'm an ascended master now. I know that. So, and I know that I can slay demons. So, because demons want to get rid of you, trying to see me, we'll get rid of it. But that's because in the spirit realm, I have a lot of rank. Here on Earth, I'm just a regular guy. That's what people say. That's what they think. But a lot of the people here, even on YouTube or TikTok, they know the story. They know who I am. So I get a lot of respect there, But I didn't used to. But, I'm just a regular guy, But listen, I never treat people like that. Listen, you'll never know it because I was a Marine, and the first thing you got to do is how to deal with people. If you're going to be a leader, you can't do it by saying you better do. Tact is always a good thing to have, and you have to understand that these people are following you on something, and that gives them a little right to be treated a little better, the way I see it, because we're all on the same team here. And what's that team? The team to bring about God's will, and what I was told I'm to do. I'm the light of the world. Now they called Jesus that, right? But really, yeah, and you would be amazed that some of the ways that God does things isn't exactly what these people wrote down in the Bible. Okay? God changes the story and rewrites the story all the time. Because, there are innocent people out there, who are doing just fine. Okay? And then there's other people who are not doing fine. And really, when God gets mad, and you see all these natural things going on, like tsunamis, earthquakes, fires, right? That isn't just a random thing right now. We are being warned, and it's kind of up to us who are not totally ignorant to this to kind of help the people around us to know, look, you're not helping us with that, get rid of that, that way of being, because at some point God's gonna, okay, I've had enough, okay, because God is, think about it, anyone who has got kids out there, think about this, and this is the way I was as a father with my kids. And because I didn't have a good role model to learn from. So what I did, I said, well, how would God be a father? And, because that's what He is. He teaches us a lot of ways by letting us screw up and catching karma, right? And at some point, He starts teaching us in a good way. But we have to get through those lessons that where we have to learn those lessons the hard way, okay? But I passed that. So now we're at the point now that we have to go through all those hard truths and shit. Uh, and listen, I'm going to say something here too, also. And don't get me wrong. I'm not judging anybody, but a lot of the readers that are out here, I hear them say the F word a lot, and I've chosen this community to be with me on this because I didn't choose the churches, because I don't care what those churches do. If they don't do and respond to the way we need for them to respond, and if they're just sitting around there trying to collect up people's money and they're not helping the people. I mean, you can read scripture all that. You don't see me reading scripture and stuff. I'm going to tell you just straight up, just like a human being. Listen, if you're doing this, you're fucking up. And I just said that word, but I'm telling you that it would be wise for us to at least be something that people can say, well, no, he doesn't do that. He doesn't touch like that. I mean, I say shit. I can say, damn it, but there's a word that, and the reason I say that, because my parents, and they were good. They were good. Of course they had like kids. And, but I never heard them say that word. I heard my dad say it a couple of times. And I heard my mother say it about 2 times in my whole life. And but they were really angry. I didn't know they knew that word for the longest time. I didn't. So you might kind of ease up on that a little bit, because you never know who is looking at us to say, well, listen, I didn't know anything about this stuff, but I really need to be on the side of God. Okay? So you're representing that person. You're representing God when you're out there doing your thing, doing your tarot cards or whatever. Because who's speaking to you? Spirit. That's God. Okay? So represent that well. I'm just saying, I'm not getting on to anybody or anything like that, but I see it, I listen to y'all. I love y'all, though. I love y'all to death. I do. This is the community I chose to say, I need your help. We're going to turn this world around. We're going to change this world. And I mean absolutely change this world. And people like in the government can't do it. They ain't right. Everyday people don't know enough about it until we tell them. And the churches, they don't care. They want power. They want wealth. But with all that wealth that they're carrying, I don't see them doing a whole lot with them for anybody else, unless you happen to be a member of their church who gives a big bunch of money every year or something like that. They'll help you. But if you just walking off the street, and those are the people that we take care of, because what would Jesus do? He'd help them, right? And that's what you'll see me do. God will make sure I have a lot of wealth. And why? What am I going to do with that? Well, I'll probably buy me a pickup truck. I'll live in a not decent house. But darn it, But for the most part, that's going to be to help people in need, and because God loves His children, He does, and there's not a whole lot going on as far as the government and the churches are saying. You know what I mean? They're not doing a whole lot for anybody. Reality is, you know what I mean? You got multi-million, billion-dollar churches, organizations, or like you see them on TV and all this. But when it comes down to it, what are they doing? I want to see it. Put it in a paper. Let me see it. What you're doing. Because you can preach all day long, but if you're not willing to put your ass into it to help people starving, or just to help people that are homeless and stuff, and it's getting worse. Where are we at in this world? You know what I mean? And but we can fix this. And I know that God's 100% behind me to do this. Let's be the people that God created us to be. You know, and I think a lot of you people, of these people that are on this community, because I know they work with God every day. You may not even realize it, how much you work with God. Because when God's answering your questions, you're hearing Him. And those are spiritual gifts. And He's talking to you. So you have a good relationship with God. Understand who that is. It's a spirit. You know, you may be talking to some, Hashate or, Anubis or whatever. That maybe that's so. But the bottom line is, the one who you're probably talking to is Jesus, or the Most High, because He does talk to His children. I mean, listen, before Adam and Eve fell, He used to walk in the garden with us, but life got so dirty here, God had to leave. He left Satan here, and Satan is really the prince of this place. But don't worry, he's going to get evicted. In fact, he's going to get evicted for 1,000 years, and they'll let him go after 1,000 years. That's when he gets tossed into the lake of fire. He'll do something really awful. But my job is to get you people and all the people to wake up and start coming on home. Get home to God, to Jesus, whoever you want to call it. Okay? And know that we're on the time now, whereas we were infants when we were just living in grace. But we have grown up a little bit, and now we need to start stepping it up as far as being that kind of people, loving people that are our neighbors, loving God, stuff like that. And a lot of us have fallen away. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't come back. I mean, if God's giving you time right now, come on back. Come on. That's what I'm here for. Get on back here. You're when God's child, get your butt back here in, the strength of numbers. Okay? And we're going to the new earth. Okay? So, do the work as far as tell people, listen, if you got some hurts and wounds that causing you to screw up a little bit, then work with that and get it fixed. And it's easy, recognize what it is, feel it. If you have to cry about it, if you scream about it, whatever, and then let it go. Forgive who needs to be forgiven and let it go. Because that's what's going to keep you from getting over there to the new earth. Because your soul has to be lighter than a feather. Now, mine's been weighed. But I could screw up and mess it up again. But luckily, I have learned how to let things go that I can't change. You know what I mean? And I give it to God. Just give it to God. And don't hang on to it. And love your neighbors. Love your neighbors. Love the people in your life. Because listen, when you leave this planet, that's the only thing you get to take with you. You take your love with you. That's really all you want to take. And the ones who have already gone before you are waiting for you. That's real. Heaven is a real place. So anyway, listen, my laptop, I didn't charge it up right, so I want to go dead on me. But listen, I just wanted to come in and I wanted to say thank you, God. Why? Because, listen, these people have done the very most they could do, and God has been there every step of the way to make sure I'm not harmed. And He's always made, listen, I cried a lot of tears on this deal. You don't go through this stuff and you don't shed some tears. If you ain't shedding some tears, or you're not getting a bunch of feedback on these assholes, really what they are. But if you're not doing the job, because it seems to me that look how they treated Jesus, most perfect guy in the whole world, right? There ever was. They treated him like a dog. You know what I mean? And he was out there, killing people, forgiving them. He had that, Now I've got the right to do that too. I've got that kind of authority, believe it or not. Right? So listen, you come to me and tell me this not screwed up. What do you think of me? Hey, listen, I'm gonna forgive you, and know that God has given me the authority to do that, because I have the authority of heaven. So I ask you, please just do the work, and whatever chance you get, anytime it's in your realm, where you at, people, and you can make them understand what this is all about. Do it. Listen, and God's going to see you doing it. He's going to bless you for it. If you can help someone out on this something, help them out. If you're God's children, you're going to listen. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to show those good deeds or whatever, because you are God's children, and God is going to say, "That's my kid right there." Yeah, I'm proud of that. Because He does to me all the time. Listen, I screw him up. If I'm screwing up, He's hey, back up. But most of the time, he's telling, "I'm proud of you." Right? And that's where we should be, because we are God's children. Maybe we were born to other parents, sure, but that soul that's within you, that's going back to God. It's not going to go back to your parents, because with that soul right there, that makes you one of God's children. There are people walking around out there that don't have souls. They've sold them, whatever. If you still got your soul, you're God's child. And it's time to make it home, to come back to your family. I mean, you have to move over, But I'm telling you that you understand what I'm saying. Get back to the light. Like your mama say. If it gets dark out there, you should already be home, okay? Like that. Well, this world has gotten pretty dark, and it's time to get home. Your daddy said so. Okay? And I love you all. I do. Whoever I'm talking to, I'm talking to all of you, and all of you readers and stuff like that. I love y'all to death. I do. And when God blesses me, you believe you'll be the Cash App deal for me, because y'all deserve it. And just keep on doing what you're doing. Bring those kids home. And I'm here. Whatever you need, I'm here. And don't think that even when you don't see me for a minute, don't think I'm letting you walk this alone. I'm with you. And if anybody catching me shit, and I'm gonna be stepping up and saying, "Hey, look at here. That's one of God's kids." Don't do that. You just know that if you're God's child, God don't play about you. Okay? And this is not from me, it's from the Most High. Okay? I'm telling you that. I prayed before I said, He's giving me what I'm supposed to say. And so God, I thank you for that. And again, Father, thank you for finally taking care of those ops, because I was getting tired. It was a hard week last week. So anyway, so God bless you all, and keep doing what you do. Keep being who you are. Sin does not even come near you unless you start acting like somebody who you aren't. That's what sin is when you start being that person that you're not. Because the person that you are, if you're God's children, is a pretty nice person, a pretty good person. I mean, you might screw up sometimes, but listen, character is in us. Good character is in us. So that's one of the things that comes along with being a child of God. Anyway, so I'm going to get off of here and let y'all go do whatever you do, and I'm going to get back to doing what I was doing. I was trying to clean the house and doing laundry, But hey, I love you. And there's one out there. I really do love you. She might know what I hope she does. Anyway, so God bless and good night.